Hello and welcome back to the Canaries Chat channel. A little bit of an odd one, a little bit of a lunchtime upload from myself, a little bit croaky as well, so do bear with. But the news has just broken that Jack Wilshere has been confirmed that he is not going to be the new head coach for Norwich City. I think this came as a bit of a shock to everyone involved. I know personally I thought it was in the bag that he was going to get it. I think most people that I've spoken to as well kind of were under the impression, with his knowledge from Ben Napper and their prior relationship at Arsenal, that Jack Wilshere would be the one that would come in, get that role, make it his own. I think the two games that he obviously had with us, Middlesbrough game, we defended really well. I thought we defended the box really well. People diving in for challenges. It looked like the players were playing for the manager again, and I think that was one of the first steps of a few Norwich fans getting on board with Jack Wilshere becoming the new head coach. I think he spoke quite well after the Middlesbrough game about how different games need different approaches, and he knew that he'd have to go up to Middlesbrough, try and defend around the box, and make kind of the most of the chances that we did get, but we just didn't make the most of them. And then obviously we had the last game of the season, Cardiff. They obviously went down to 10 men, so that kind of didn't allow too much of a representation to see exactly how Wilshere would play, but it kind of comes away with a 4-2 win. You can't overly argue with that, and we played good football in places. And I think what was really telling was the reception that Wilshere got at the end of that game, with Wilshere at the wheel being sung at the Barclay. And I don't know, it felt like a turning point. It felt like people were getting on board with Wilshere coming in as the new head coach. And it basically all felt done. I think myself included, other kind of Norwich City pages, Norwich City like Twitter accounts, were all expecting that to be basically confirmed. Even Wilshere said basically he wanted it was going to be a couple of days and then the interviews, and he'd hopefully find out this week, which he has. But I think even Wilshere was probably thinking he stood a good chance of getting that role. What this now leads to is a bit of a predicament. So Ben Napper's basically come out, said Wilshere's lack of first team experience is one of the key factors on why he didn't get the role, and that they'll have conversations with Wilshere over his position within the club going forwards. I imagine Napper will want to keep him here, and I think the long-term plan probably was that he would be the head coach, but it just happened a bit too early. I think they originally thought Thorpe would potentially be poached, kind of if he had done really well with Norwich, potentially be poached, and then Wilshere would come in. Probably that would happen a year and a half, 2 years down the line, rather than after the first season. So I think Wilshere's made it abundantly clear from the two games that he's had that he is happy and prepared and feels that he's ready to take that step up of being a head coach. So it could lead for a slightly odd dynamic in regards to if he does stay. We've got a first team coach that's clearly looking for other opportunities away from being a first team coach and wanting to take that step up to head coach. Personally, I'd quite like him to stay, but I don't know if it's then tenable that if a new head coach comes in, are they going to want someone in their backroom staff who they know is going to be looking potentially for other opportunities, whether that's in the Championship, whether that's in League One? I think realistically he'll want to push on and further his career, which is completely understandable. But again, it does just make a little bit maybe harder for Napper. I thought that was the easy one. I think people were also giving Napper a lot of heat that obviously if that didn't then go well, potentially that was Napper done. You can't then have two managerial failures and one of them be a very inexperienced young English manager who has worked with you in the past. I think you were potentially leaning towards a lot of criticism there. He said the search is still ongoing. It will obviously be external. A lot of names being thrown out now. Obviously, Hassan Hootel was recently sacked from Wolfsburg with an 8-game winless run, sealing the deal there for him. a lot of fans were quite potentially critical of that, a little bit like Dean Smith when he came in after getting the sack and having no time out of the sport. So I still think he could potentially be a good appointment. The classic Russell Martin talk has come out. I've seen a lot of that on X, getting Russell Martin back. Again, that's another potential. You've still got O'Neill as well, in and around the odds, and he was favourite at one point. But yeah, I think they're probably the options at the moment. O'Neill, Hasenhuttl, Martin. I think Cooper would be too expensive. He'd demand too much wages. Could be another completely left field one, like Thorup. No one had even heard of Thorup before basically he was then announced. So that could be a potential option as well. So the fact it's still ongoing, I can't see the club announcing anything this kind of Saturday or Sunday. I reckon it'll be potentially middle of next week, maybe even towards the end of next week. But the Pinkley have got the full interview coming out about Ben Napper, with Ben Napper, and what he kind of sees the club, the direction that we're going in, and potentially some more hints on where we're for in regards to managerial appointments. So that'll be a really interesting read, and we'll bring you all the updates on that as well, across kind of TikTok and X. So just make sure you're following us on there. But yeah, leave a comment down below. Who do you think should be the Norwich City manager, and who do you think will be the Norwich City manager? Because they're two very different questions. I think most people thought it was going to be Wilshere, and this has thrown a big spanner in the works basically. So leave a comment down below on that. Make sure you like and subscribe. Plenty more Norwich City content coming up, and we will see you on the next video.